Hey everyone, this is Annie Hedgpeth, and welcome to the Reading Corner, where I read you my blog posts so that you don't have to. This one was published on December 1st, 2025, and it's called The Junior Hiring Crisis. I have a vested interest in college kids' outcomes right now because I have two of them myself and one on the way, and things seem very uncertain for them. So when I read the research about what's happening, I pay extra close attention. The data. The data is not very encouraging. According to very recent research from Stanford's Digital Economy Lab, published in August of this year, companies that adopt AI at higher rates are hiring juniors 13% less. Another study from Harvard, published in October of this year, cites that early career folks from 20 to 25 years old in these same fields are experiencing greater unemployment while senior hiring remains stable or even growing. There are so many young people out there that don't have the luxury of living with their parents during these hard times, and this, sadly, has the potential to affect their entire career trajectory. Why I got involved. Because of the work that I do with people work, I was lucky enough to be able to dig into this issue more deeply when we joined CU Boulder Venture Partners' Starting Blocks program to see whether or not universities were feeling this too. The point of the program was to validate a customer segment for our business students, but as a mom and an engineer, I had a deeper purpose. I did interviews with university faculty and staff and students from all over the country, and I found anecdotally, of course, that the research findings have definitely caught up to what people are feeling. What I'm hearing from universities. Most of the university post-graduation job placement statistics have not caught up to the research yet. It takes time to get those numbers in. But staff and students alike have anecdotally told me that they feel it. Students are telling advisors that they're struggling with getting their first job and hopelessness looms. I recently responded to a video from a CS grad who described feeling cooked, and I get it. The feelings are valid. The most surprising thing that I learned that everyone, career services staff, professors, deans, students, and parents alike, all agree that networking is absolutely essential for post-graduation job placement success. And this was before they even knew who I was or what people work was all about. They see the AI resume and AI recruiting game, and they know that the only way to stand out is creating genuine connections with other professionals. That said, they struggle with how to do it and or how to scale it to all their students. Many noted platform fatigue with all the different networking apps out there designed to connect students to alumni or mentors. Even the very well-resourced students with access to mentorship groups and alumni associations and professional groups and all of that, they struggle with knowing how to build relationships and how to make the most of the breadth of their access to people. The most common answer from career services professionals when we asked what they needed was just more staff. The most common answer from students when asked what they needed was a mentor who had just been in their shoes a few years ago. A surprising and heartening answer. They all wanted intentional, meaningful, and authentic professional relationships for the students, but there seemed to be a pervasive lack of relational intelligence that blocks them from receiving it. And this is totally normal and expected as they're young and they grew up with social media, but it's particularly problematic for those going into AI adopting industries, and here's why. Why this crisis is happening, the apprenticeship breakdown, the I'm an IC, not a manager culture. When tech companies started giving engineers an alternative career path to management by letting them climb the ranks as individual contributors instead of having to be managers, I thought that was definitely the right move, and I still do. However, the unintended consequence of that is that we've spent a decade normalizing senior engineers opting out of developing the next generation. When I was breaking into tech in my late 30s, I quickly ran into this headlong and found that I had to demand mentorship. But people right out of college don't have the years of experience to know that they should do that also. I'm an IC, not a manager became an acceptable argument to avoid this work, and it became the norm across the tech industry. AI is replacing the training ground, not replacing expertise. So we used to have a training ground for junior engineers, but now AI is increasingly automating that work away. And both studies I referenced above cited the same thing. AI is getting good at automating junior work while only augmenting senior work. So let's think about that. The evidence doesn't show that AI is going to replace everyone. It's just removing the apprenticeship ladder. When we neglect teaching hands-on work, we forfeit building experience. When we avoid pair programming, we miss out on transmitting tacit knowledge. When we don't teach the art of a code review, we miss the opportunity to teach software architectural design. When AI replaces junior engineering work and seniors have been excused from people development responsibilities, you get a missing generation. Future implications, the timing mismatch. So what happens in 10 or 20 years when the current senior engineers retire? Where do the next batch of senior engineers come from? The ones who can architect complex systems and make good judgment calls when faced with uncertain situations. Those are skills that are developed through years of work that starts simple and grows in complexity through human mentorship. We're setting ourselves up for a timing mismatch at best. We're eliminating junior jobs in hope that AI will get good enough in the next 10 or 20 years to handle even complex human judgment calls. And if we're wrong about that, then we have far fewer people in the pipeline of senior engineers to solve those problems. The incentive structure problem. What makes this a particularly difficult problem to solve is that economic incentives are completely misaligned. The social contract between large companies and employees has really been broken for years now. U.S. companies have optimized for quarterly earnings, not long-term investment in their employees. And that's not to say that there aren't people within those companies who care about employee development. There absolutely are. But the system isn't set up for that to be the company's top priority. They need the flexibility to have layoffs without remorse, and they trade that for the average employee tenure being about 2 years. When that's the case, then there's really no incentive to invest in juniors, so they just hire seniors. And this is magical thinking, which has kind of worked for the last decade, but I predict that it's no longer sustainable. So let's add it all together. Companies cut junior positions for better quarterly results, plus senior engineers have been excused from mentorship responsibilities, plus companies optimize for immediate results, equals a systemic issue that no one person can really fix. What you can control. Pivot to individual agency. Given this broken system that we find ourselves in, those of us in AI adopting industries, let's not focus on what we're powerless over, but rather what we can change. I am hopeful, even bullish if you will, that if enough people take ownership over their careers and development, companies will have to respond, right? So how to do this? Build the skills that AI can't automate. Get good at the things that AI can't do. The ability to influence, collaborate, and navigate complex human systems. When AI can write your code, human skills are the differentiator. Here's what that looks like in practice. Identify 10 to 30 people in your professional network that matter the most to your career. These folks will fall into 4 different categories. Number 1, guide. Those who look to you for guidance. Number 2, align. Those who you seek to align with, who have a vested interest in the outcome of your work. Number 3, partner. The peers with whom you work most closely and collaborate. And number 4, network, your broader community with whom you create a cultural context with your shared values. Get intentional about nurturing each of those relationships. You're not just growing your network, you're seeking to understand how your unique skills can help with their unique needs. This will look different with each person, so just get curious. And then track what's working and what's not. Note what's happening and how you feel about it. Get introspective. Keep track of the commitments made between the two of you. Are you being helpful or transactional? Things like that. And then practice while the stakes are low. If you're a student, practice these relationship skills now in the safety of your school where mistakes are welcomed. Then you'll be able to add value immediately and be better positioned for finding that all-important internship and your first job ultimately. So why this matters more than ever. Senior engineering roles have always been leadership positions, but we haven't really been great as an industry and enforcing it. Imagine, though, a tech industry where relationship skills weren't just nice to have, but essential, where navigating complex human systems was seen as a core competency. When students start practicing building this relational intelligence now, then they can start creating the muscle memory that'll be so helpful when they graduate. Then when they get their first job from someone in that well-nurtured network, they can use that newly built relational intelligence to understand how best to onboard to their new role and really start adding value quickly. This requires intentional practice, pattern recognition, and psychological safety. It will be difficult, but necessary. Conclusion, the path forward. I won't sugarcoat it. Yes, the traditional apprenticeship model in tech has slowly been eroding and AI is accelerating that. Yes, company incentive models are not in favor of the employee. And yes, the 10 to 20 year talent pipeline is at risk. But I didn't write this to simply complain about a broken system. I wrote this post because I've been navigating this system as a career changer in tech for a decade now, and I've learned a thing or two about how to do that successfully. So if you're a student or an early career professional, start building that relational intelligence now. Identify 10 or 20 key relationships and get intentional with them. Track what works and what doesn't, and we can help if you need it. If you're a senior engineer or a manager, teaching forces clarity. When you have to explain things in their most most basic form, you understand it more deeply, and this in turn benefits the entire team. If you're a university administrator, I really recommend embedding relational intelligence into your core curriculum, especially in the majors in AI adopting industries. And if you need ideas on how to do that, we are very happy to help. Relationship skills have always been the differentiator, but now they're really a necessity. It taps into what makes us more human, and I, for one, think that adding more humanity to technology and to business is pretty wonderful. I hope you do too. We're here to help. Email me if you want to chat about making this more approachable for your students, universities, engineering teams, or yourself. That's all I got. Thanks, y'all. Like and subscribe if you want more of this.